I'm the former WBF International Super Featherweight Champion and the former WBF All Africa Lightweight Champion. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ringside Talk with me, your host, David Rajuili. We're talking with the punchers this afternoon. This afternoon, I've got a special guest with me. We're moving over from the boxing side of things. We're going to speak to a few coaches here and there. We've got a young coach all the way from South Africa. He used to be a former fighter. He only went on to have about 4 or 5 fights. One of the most exciting coaches right now to hit the shores of South Africa. The best pad holder in the continent. My young friend, Shannon Strydom.
Yo, what's happening? Thank you for having me on the show, bro. I really appreciate your time.
No problem, brother. No problem. What's happening, Shannon? Long time, brother. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, it's been a while,
bro. How you
keeping? Years. I've been all good. Been busy, good, but yeah, bobbing and weaving our way through life, I guess. But we're good, bro.
That's good, brother. Bobbing your way through life. I'm rolling with the punches here on my talk show, brother. So, Shannon, I was just explaining to the people earlier before you came on, used to be a former boxer. Now you exciting young coach from South Africa. Tell us more about your name, Shannon. Tell us... and how you got into the love of boxing before we go into the coaching and everything.
So I got involved into boxing at a very young age, at the age of 7 years old. Obviously, growing up, my dad was a professional boxing trainer. He partnered up with a trainer from South Africa called Manny Fernandez. Back, like I said, when I was 7 years old, early 2000s, and they had a lot of national champions in their gym and a lot of world contenders in their gym at the time. And so for me, with my dad obviously being at the gym every day, he used to take me with sometimes, and I just fell in love with the game since from a very young age. And by the time I was 7, I got in. I actually started fighting amateurs. I wasn't really fully invested at the time. I was just doing it because it was, it was the thing that my family does. My uncle was a former professional fighter as well. My grandfather used to fight, so started boxing when I was 7 years old, fought amateurs for a couple of years, and then I stopped for a very long time. Well, I fought until I was 10 years old, and then I stopped from, I think, for 6 years, and then when I was 16, I started fighting. I continued my career as an amateur fighter. Went on to win the Joburg Championships, Gauteng Championships, and I went to the SAs in 2010. And I had over 35 amateur fights. I actually can't remember what my record was, but I wasn't the greatest amateur at the time. I never took my training seriously.
I remember, I think I met you in the amateurs. We all the different clubs used to compete with each other. I know in South Africa, amateur boxing at the time, and I'm hoping still now, was quite a big thing, the different gyms. If I'm not mistaken, your amateur gym was in Malvern or something?
So it wasn't Malvern. It was actually Newville. Newville Boxing Club, which is like the west part of Johannesburg West. And I fought out of my dad was obviously my trainer. It was his gym as well. So, and I remember, I think if I'm not mistaken, as amateurs, we fought on the Southern Giant Bowl. That was the big tournament we fight once a year. If you fight on the Southern Giant, it's big. It's coming for you. So it was nice. I had a good amateur career, and then I stopped fighting. I stopped when I was 17 years old, just because how it is. I don't know if it's like that all around the world, but in SA, once you get to a certain grading, it becomes harder for you to get fights as your career progresses. And I went through a stint where I was just not getting fights. And then I actually took up, I was like, okay, let me take a break with the amateur fighting because my plan was to turn professional the following year.
Yeah.
So I took a break here and I thought, let me actually have 2 amateur MMA fights. So I had 2 amateur MMA fights. And then obviously I turned professional the year straight after, which was in 2013. And then, yeah, I went on to have 5 professional fights. It was all in 1 year, 2013. And yeah, 4 wins, 1 loss. And yeah, I retired by the end of by the end of 2013.
There we got Shannon back. Yo, brother.
Back in the game.
Sorry about that. You know, it's third country, third country. No, I'm joking.
What a laugh.
No, I'm joking, brother.
So
I'm joking.
where was I? Where was I at?
So yeah, man.
Yeah, bro. So then I went on to turn professional in 2013. I only had 5 professional fights and I retired in the same year. I had 4 fights, well, 4 wins and 1 loss. And then I went straight into coaching from 2014.
On with it, or was it a thing of just doing it for the sake of your parents, or do you like to fight? That you little fights, then you went over to coaching, or was coaching one thing that you truly believed this is what you're going to fall onto, and this is what you want out of boxing, to have, like your dad, your own little left boxing into coaching?
So, like I said, I started at a very young age, at 7 years old, and I started competing. So by the time when it was 2013, I was already competing for like 13 years on and off, and also getting out of school. It was like, do I fight professional or do I go study? Like, I didn't really know what to do, and I was very young. Like, it was very, people don't always understand. Boxing is a very emotional game. You know, so when I was 18 years old,
Yes.
obviously my dad being my trainer, he wanted to push me, and I did well. What I think is, like, if I wasn't mature enough, like, I didn't know how to deal with the emotions at the time. So when I was 20, so like that year after my last fight, I was just like, I was burnt out, man. Also, like, how it is when you start out fighting, you don't really make a lot of money out of boxing. It's like,
Yes,
no
yes.
one really cares about you. You got this career or this dream, and you got to make it work. And at the time, it was like, wasn't really rewarding monetary wise at the time. So started looking for a job, but my heart was always I always loved the sport, and yeah,
Do it on
like
your own. Yeah. Okay, nice. And now, how did transaction go into from boxing into coaching? I'm sure also being around your dad most of the time, watching him train the pro boxers and stuff like this. you would pick up a few pointers. He would ask you to help him come. And when you say to yourself, okay, you know, my goals too is never mind the boxing, myself straight into the coaching.
Yeah,
How did that come about? Were you just like, yo, Dad? Or were you
so
coaching
obviously,
some of the guys?
so obviously,
Yeah.
yeah, so obviously from a very young age, like I was always around in the gym. I grew up around the likes of Aziz Lachayo, which was former IBO world champ. Simon Ramoni was a former IBO world champ, SA champ, and then and multiple champions. So obviously I always try to steal as much as I could. Always try to learn as much as I could from a young age. And then when I actually and then later on in my career, as I got older, my dad trained the likes of Cassius Baloy for one fight, and Takalani and Glory. Actually, I was Philip and Doe, and I had the privilege to do some work with them all at the time. Sparring. So I learned a lot from all of those guys, with the system being like around my dad in the gym. And when I obviously hung up my gloves in 2013, I started working at another boxing gym, which is called Smith's Gym. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that as well. And then, yeah, they had their own professionals that they were training. Tabiso Mchunu, who challenged for the
Yes.
WBC world title. Tulani Mbenge, who's currently top 10 in the WBC. And then
Yes.
other great fighters as well. So I was always part of the coaching staff there. And I left. I was there for 6 years, and then I left. I started doing my own thing, and boxing training fighters was never really one of my things. Like I'm gonna start training my own professionals. It actually just so when I left that gym,
Yeah.
a fighter named Zolisani Nongeni, the guy who fought Devin Haney just before Haney fought, I think, for the world title. He actually left his previous gym and he hit me up, because we used to work together back in the day. I was actually his main sparring partner
Yeah.
when he fought Devin Haney at the time, 2019. And he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, bro, I don't have a coach at the moment. I know we used to work together back in the day. So would you mind training me?" And I was like, it was quite an honor, a fighter with a
Yeah.
31-2 license record.
Yeah.
It was quite a
Yeah.
nice feeling, and we got to work, and we had
Nice.
started with him. We had 3 fights last year together, knocking out all 3 of his opponents inside the distance. Then later on, Chris left his previous gym, and he also hit me up and he was like, "Hey, bro, I want you to be my full-time coach." And
Yes.
I didn't hesitate at all. He's a great athlete, so yeah. And it's been 2 years since. I've got a couple of youngsters that I'm bringing through the ranks as well. So yeah, exciting times lying ahead.
Telling us how your stable has grown. We'll touch on a question. What is the difference? Or did you see a difference or feel shoes? As a guy giving the instructions, training instructions from a trainer, listening to the trainer saying, there has to be a difference with those 2 shoes. Where do you, what are the differences? Because I would say with the discipline, you have to listen to the coach. You have to want to learn stuff like that. You have to know how to speak to your fighters, know how to push a fighter. You have to, there's different things that you do. And you've been in both those worlds. Explain to us the different types, what you've seen as your former career as a fighter, now that you look at both worlds? If that
So if I look at, obviously, can you actually just repeat that question? Sorry, I think the network was a bit bad. I lost you there for like a split sec. Just repeat that. Sorry.
Okay. You've been in two shoes. You've been in the shoes of a fighter, of a boxer. Okay. You're in the shoes of a coach. Those are two different worlds. Okay. With the fighter, there's a world when you come into the gym, you have to listen to the coach. Do what the coach tells you to do. As the coach, you're giving the instructions. You're telling the fighter what to do. You are leading the fighter to victory. I would understand it. It's two different minds. Could you break that down for us? What, in your experience so far, you've seen the difference? Like, I'm a fighter. This is what used to happen. I hear the coach. I'm a coach now. This is how I speak to my fighter. This is the difference. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you. So I think as a fighter, obviously you got to be humble. You got to be able to take instructions. You got to be able to literally, if your coach says jump in the fire, you got to jump in the fire. So as a fighter, obviously, taking instructions from a coach, like you have to go through. You got to be able to face adversity. I think if you're not doing something right in training, you got to be able to take adversity from your coach. If he says, you should change it up, or I don't think this is working for you, and as hard as it might be, because you're gonna have your good days and your bad days in the gym, And then as a fighter, as a coach, obviously you got to become a little bit more of a hard ass. You got to become more of a leader. You got to lead. Like you said, you got to lead the way. But at the end of the day, everything, I believe both roles are more or less the same because it comes down to discipline at the end of the day, And if you have discipline with whatever you do in life, you can do well with it. If you're a fighter and you've got a lot of discipline, you don't have to be the most talented, but you've got a lot of discipline. You can work hard. You can achieve great things, And the same thing I believe as a coach.
Okay, nice. And now, would you say you as a coach, you would like a fighter like you to walk into your gym? Would you say you were disciplined, humble? You didn't give your coach gray hairs or anything like this?
Well, I think if you ask my dad that question, he's going to tell you, no, this motherfucker didn't listen. But no, bro, yeah, to be honest with you, the version of myself now, I would want to walk into my gym. The version of myself, 8-9 years ago, I wouldn't even allow him in my gym. So I've grown a lot as a person, and obviously as a fighter as well. Because I just stopped sparring the last 10 years. Since I've retired, I've always been. I still spar up to twice a week. So I've matured a lot as a fighter. But yeah, 100%. I would love someone like me to walk into my gym all day.
Nice, bro. It's so nice to hear this, even coming from like you, from a coach's side of things. Tell me, as a young coach, bro, I think if I'm not mistaken, you're like 20 in your late 20s, early 30s, coaching in South Africa. At the moment, we see the African continent is booming with the boxing. South Africa's got ESPN Africa. A lot more shows are now being televised and stuff like this. As a young coach in a country like South Africa, where it's growing, it's better than it was, you could say, 5 to 10 years ago. What do you see happening in South Africa as a country, as in boxing, as a coach, and what's your expectations from the governing bodies to help you coaches out, you managers out there?
So I must be completely honest with you, like this year, boxing has been on fire in our country. You know, I think every weekend there's been a tournament where the last two, not even the last 2 years, I'm not even going to blame COVID, you know, like the last 5, 6, since Blow by Blow left the televisions back in the day, you know, boxing was on like a bit of a down the last couple years. But yeah, since COVID's been done, like boxing is back, man. It's been great. Like I said, there's been tournaments every weekend, and I'm fortunate enough I have a good relationship with most promoters out there in our country to get work for my guys, and you know, so I think the only also boxing has been back on SABC, you know, and SABC is the biggest television platform in our country, you know, and that's what draws the most eyes out of all the networks, you know. So boxing has been back on SABC, so you know we have only got good things to look forward to, and yeah, I know it's going to be a great year for boxing in South Africa, and my expectations are high because you know we have a lot of great talent in our country. We have a lot of great talent from foreign fighters that live in South Africa that's been blown up as names in our country, and they're not even they're not even citizens, you know. So if it can carry on like this, you know, like I'm only sure we're going to reach highs.
Nice, bro. And I wanted to ask you, tell me something. What do you, as a coach, in the
Sorry, bro, I'm going to have to ask you to just say that again.
coach in the next 5 years?
Hopefully, yes, man. Like, I actually spoke to someone about this the other day, you know, like my biggest thing is, you know, taking these young guys and giving them purpose, you know, like giving them, you know, something, giving them a career, you know, taking them from nothing and giving them a career. So I'm not necessarily seeing myself somewhere in the next 5 years, you know. In 5 years' time, I want to look back and I want to look back and I want to see, okay, you know, like you've helped so many fighters, you know, and you took them from something and they actually became something, you know. So hopefully 5 years like down the line, I've already made my first national champion in the country, and hopefully in 5 years' time, I'll just be happy if I can, you know, double that. But definitely be involved in the game still, and 100% will be trying my best.
Yeah. And I'm sure with your how you work, you'll definitely have like a world champion. Our day to day, your fighters we take on just to understand the what it takes to be a coach. You know, just to understand what we know. I know of a coach. Hey, I get to the gym. There's the coach. He tells me what to do. I train. I go home. I don't know. Maybe you guys, you wake up. You've got a plan. You say, okay, this fighter. This is how we're gonna push him. You look the mentally, this and that. You can see when the fighter's breaking down. You know, there's a world of a coach. You know, could you just run us down just
So obviously,
your life as a coach, like, you know, your everyday? Yeah.
so obviously, I work with my own fighters. I've got like four of my own fighters. Obviously, I've got Chris. I've got and a couple of youngsters that I work with as well. And recently, I just teamed up with the leading coach in South Africa and the continent, Colin Nathan, so I train my own fighters, and then I assist him with all of these guys as well, so my pool of fighters basically jumped from 3-4 guys to now working with 30 guys. So it's expanded a lot, and obviously the workload is way more, the brain power, the focus, everything is way more. So I like to work with my fighters individually. I like to spend one-on-one time with my fighters, and I believe that's how you get to know them. But so we run a nice, I run a nice system, especially with Chris, me and Chris, all the work we do alone. So except for sparring days, which is obviously twice a week, or sometimes it varies. But so with Chris, I like to train, alone, and I believe that's how we made our last challenge for the SA title. That's how we made the fight so easy, because we had a plan, we stuck to it for 10 weeks, and literally everything we worked on in the gym is how we executed on the night. So that was also for me the first time I was like, shit, okay, if you really put in the work and if you do things right, you'll reap the rewards. So then obviously some of my other guys, they all train together. So actually, when was it, like 2 weeks ago, I got to the gym, and it was just such a nice vibe, man. There was like 10 guys there. It was and we actually just started. I just got there, and I worked out this program for 10 guys, and we just worked together so well. It was a lot of fun. The fighters enjoy it. So yeah, man, working with the fighters has been great. I've been enjoying every second of it. Obviously, everyone is different. You deal with different characters, you deal with different moods, you deal with moods is one thing. Like you deal with a lot of moods. So obviously, you gotta dissect, if I can say, you gotta dissect every athlete a little bit differently. Not everyone is the same. Not necessarily what I tell this guy, I can tell that guy. Because he might be a little bit more emotional, or he might be. So it's hard, but like, yeah, back at home we live, eat, sleep boxing. So this is what I enjoy. It's my passion. So I'm willing to go above and beyond for my athletes. Whatever it takes to make them better themselves. It can take a better version of themselves today than what they were yesterday. Like that little 1% or 10 rand or 10 pounds. That's money in the bank. And you count your money at the end of the year, or at the end of your year, or at the end of your camp, to see how you've grown. So yeah, I've been loving every second of it, bro.
That's amazing, brother, and it's nice to hear how you speak about your fighters and how you speak about what you're doing. As a young coach, you think you obviously have been inspired by other coaches while you were growing up, or now while you're in the game, in the field. Any big names that inspire you locally and internationally, where you look at yourself and you're like,
so
shit, I would like to be like that coach. Yeah.
So obviously, growing up in the sport, obviously my dad introduced me to the game. He trained a lot of world champions, made a lot of national champions. So like everything I know, and I learned from him, and I learned from him first. And then obviously at the moment, like I said, I work with Colin Nathan as well, which is like I've been learning a lot from him as well. From training to the management side. He's just made my boxing knowledge, like, he's broadened it up, if I can say it like that. So there are obviously two guys that I look up to in this country. My dad, obviously, which will always be, and then like with Colin, like I'm excited to having a working relationship with him for a long time. Like I said, I learned a lot from him, and these days they're the two people that I look up to in this country, and I respect all the other coaches as well. And then internationally, Probably my favorite coach, if I had to say out of everyone, probably be Derek James. I love his style of training. He's done some great work with Errol Spence, with the Charlotte brother. So he's one guy that I like. I'd actually, when I speak about it last week, I spoke to DJ Krill about it, and I said to him, bro, it would be so cool to go do like a camp at Derek James's gym. I know that'd probably be highly impossible. They are very high end, but it would be a dream come true for me to go shadow him for, I'd say, like a month or, you know.
Now
So
tell
yeah,
me, do you guys?
those are the three things.
Okay, nice. Sorry to training camps so we can go train. We can go South Africa. I can come South Africa. For a while, you could be with Colin, learn from him and stuff like this. But obviously, you're working together. But do coaches in box have such things where you guys can go to do what you call this sermons or whatever? Yeah, training camp and stuff.
So locally, no, obviously not.
Yeah.
But
I've never.
yeah, so actually, when was it? Last year, myself and Chris, we were meant to go to Bulgaria. There was a big training camp that took place in
I really never
Plovdiv,
heard of. Yeah.
Bulgaria. So that unfortunately fell through with like the whole COVID thing and everything. But that was going to be a nice training camp in Plovdiv with a lot of European fighters, and I was actually going to be the lead trainer on the training camp.
Oh wow.
But that was cool because it was a cool opportunity. But it wasn't something I wanted to do. Like I need to go there. Obviously, I mean, Colin. If you look at him, he went to the Freddie Roach gym in LA. He shadowed him for I don't know how long the time was, but he went there. So
Okay.
and then
Okay. And you rate these things
yeah,
help you as these things help you guys as a coach. See what he does. Take a pointer here. Obviously, you won't coach the same or the same as this Oaks fighters, but taking a pointer A, B, or C can help you a little bit. Does that shit work, bro?
100%. Of course, it works. I
Okay.
mean, like if like I can't tell you right here if I go to Derek James's gym, there's nothing he's going to be able to teach me. Like even if it's just 1% that I take from it. If it's something small like I don't know, petty the jab and shoot with the right hand instead of petty the jab and shoot it back with a jab. Like if I didn't know that and I take that back home, it's extra tools in my toolbox. So I'm humble enough to learn, even if the local coaches, international coaches, even if it's something small. Like actually. So one of my things is that I want to improve as a coach is the way that I wrap hands. Like I can wrap hands decent, but when I watched Colin wrap hands the other day, I was like, shit, like I need to learn how to do this. So that's my next mission. Like I want to get involved and I want to learn. I just want to learn. Like you can never learn enough. The day that I tell people I know everything in this game is the day that I hang my gloves up as a trainer.
It's also so interesting to hear you're a trainer, you're the teacher, and all I've been hearing for the past 20 minutes, 25 minutes is you saying learning. I'm learning. You're learning. I'm hearing you saying I'm learning more than I'm teaching. I'm teaching the guys this. All I'm hearing you say, I'm learning from this. And it's very nice, I know a few coaches that that don't care how's this and that. You train the way they want you to train. They don't care. if that coach does it like this, that doesn't work in this gym, you know. And it's very nice to hear from a young here how open expand your knowledge in the sports, brother. And that just makes you, that just makes you an amazing coach, I must say. Coach, like I would love a coach, but he's teaching me what he knows and what he's learning. That because then we're also expanding as a fighter. You're learning from a coach, but you're also learning other things the coach is learning. That means, you know, you're getting all sorts of information. And that's actually quite exciting, brother, and quite cool. James, you know me, homie, I love to talk.
Yeah.
Dog, I can talk to you. I wanted to ask you, what other big fights have you got going there, brother?
Okay, so
Or
I hope I didn't miss anything there because I lost you a little bit for a second. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to yeah. So sorry, you said yeah, the fight coming up with Chris. That's obviously a big one. We're 5 weeks after that. That's on the 16th of September. Big challenge. You know, against Ken Linguist. He's from Denmark. We're fighting him in his home country. It will probably be my biggest test to date as a professional coach and
can I
obviously for
stop you
Chris
there
as well
quick?
as a professional fighter. Yeah.
I want to ask you if this is fine, if you don't want to answer because of you don't want to understand. Understandable, brother. You obviously a coach. This is why I'm asking because you do coach Chris. I've never had a coach. I'd like to know what you, as a coach, going into a fight like this, how do you prepare and what does your preparation look like so far, 5 weeks out?
I'm not gonna answer that in full, but I'll give you as much as I can. Okay. So
Okay,
obviously we got the call probably about 3 weeks back. So I'd say 8, 9 weeks out we got the call, you know. One thing I am very blessed with is working with an athlete like Chris Thompson because he's that coach that he's that fighter, you know, that like obviously going into the gym, and that's what I actually wanted to say earlier as well, with working with fighters, you know, like coming back to learning, learning, you know, when I walk into that gym, the fighters and my fighters and the fighters that I work with, they hold me accountable, you know. So it'll be foolish for me not to upskill myself every day, you know, like can never, like I said, you can never learn enough. But then coming back to the Chris Thompson fight, so obviously we got the call 3 weeks out. You know, it is a division below his actual division, which is heavyweight. We won the heavyweight titles, so it just came. We were actually he was back in the UK doing some work there, doing
yes, I saw that.
fight camp there, like a training camp there, and you know, I phoned him up and I was like, bro, we got to offer WBC Bridgerweight International Silver Belt against Kevin Greer's Denmark 16th of September, you know. We looked at it. I think that same day he said, yeah, bro, I'm ready. Let's take it. We're going to take this fight and we're going to go there and win, you know. So obviously for me, it was like, okay, let's get down to business, you know, like he is a tough opponent. He is 13-0 with 8 knockouts. He's never lost. He was a decorated amateur. He's never won like European championships or anything, but he was a decent amateur. He's got good experience, you know. So Chris jumped on the plane, came back to SA, and we started with our camp straight away. And luckily, our trainer athlete, he's that guy that holds me accountable. know, he's we walk into that gym, you know, we cook the meal like I like to call it, and preparation's been going great so far. We've had some good sparring the last 2 weeks. We started like 2 weeks ago. It's been quite a bit of a struggle to find sparring partners because our opponent is also a southpaw and he's 6'6.5", so he's actually very tall, you know. And
Rough.
I think Chris is like the tallest heavyweight in the country, I think, you know. So to find someone bigger, so it's a bit of a challenge with that, but we've been getting in some good work. So training camp has been going well. We are 5 weeks out. I'm not going to give away too much on the game plan, but you know, we're going there to win. You know, we're going to Denmark to win. You know, we're gonna put all our we're gonna throw down for all the marbles. You know, it's a big opportunity. Chris wins this fight. It puts him top 10 in the WBC. You know, and if he can win this fight, he can get into an eliminated position to fight the winner of Alan Babbage, and I think it's the Polish guy. I'm not sure what his name is, but he's ranked number 2. Number 1 for the WC, he's the number 1 contender. So, you know, like, just opens up such nice doors, you know. So it was a story, like, for us, you know, like, we don't have anything to lose, but we've got everything to gain, you know. So, like I said, we're going to Denmark, and we're going to Denmark to win. We're gonna we're gonna try and go there and put up our best performance and put our best foot forward. And I know Chris can beat this guy. Like I said, he's unbeaten, but he's fought guys with 20 losses, 5 wins, 10 wins, 30 losses, you know. So I'm not taking anything away from him. He has never lost, but his level of opposition hasn't been the greatest, you know. So I'm not going to give anything away with the game plan, but we do have a plan, and I do believe our plan will work against this guy.
Nice, bro. Nice, bro. I'm even excited, my brother. It sounds very good. Like I said to Chris, we're rooting for him this side. We're also rooting for you on this side, brother, for you and your boys. But damn, it sounds like you're having quite a good run, bro. You've got the SA title, you've got the Africa title behind you. You're going after the WBC titles now. Do you have any other titles? Do you have any national? How many champions do you have under your name?
So it's currently only obviously only Chris Thompson who won the SA and ABU title. Like I said earlier on, last year I helped Nomeva Ndongeni to win the WBA Pan African Junior Welterweight belt. He stopped his opponents in 2 rounds. And then at the end of December last year, I trained him for a fight against another, I'm not sure which country the guy was from. It was an African opponent as well. Fought for the ABU Junior Welterweight belt. Ended up stopping him in the first round. So, you know, we've won 2 ABU belts, 1 WBA Pan African belt, and obviously the SA heavyweight title, which is the biggest, you know. The SA title in South Africa is big, you know. So winning that belt was, like, I'd say that was probably my biggest achievement yet as a coach. And then obviously helping Colin with all these fights as well, you know. Like, there's a lot of fights, big fights that's coming up. You know, Mariti's got his homecoming, and he's I think it's the 2nd week of October. It's going to be his last fight, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a guy that I watched growing up, you know. And now I'm honored to be involved in one of his training camps, you know. So that's very special to me. And then a lot of youngsters coming through as well. I've just had a boy fights over the weekend, Frank Samkelo Sotomela from the Eastern Cape. He's a flyweight. He joined me like a year ago, and he had 2 fights, but he was inactive for 5 years. You know, he hasn't fought since 2017. So he came to me and he was like, "Coach, like, I want to get my career back on track." He's only 27 years old. You know, I had a look at him in the gym. He was a former SA champ, and we got him back this year. We've had 2 back-to-back wins now. So my next plan with him is to get him into the ratings, and he's a special kid to me. I think a lot of him, and I believe I mentioned it this couple months back. You know, I believe he's going to be a SA flyweight champion by the end of next year. So, and then obviously I've got a lot of, I'm in Limpopo in 2 weeks' time with Ayanda and Corsi fighting a guy from the Philippines. Ishmael Kadri, young up and coming prospect. So we got our hands full this side. All day, every day, we're just putting in that work.
Nice, bro. I need a coach there in South Africa, bro. I'm getting ready to come back, man.
I'm waiting for you, bro. Pull in.
But nice, bro. Nice, bro. But fucking awesome, my brother. Shane, it was very nice to speak to you. A very exciting career. It sounds like the coaching was the right path for you, and it sounds like everything is just going great, bro. It sounds like God has a great plan for you with the coaching and with your boxers and everything. So I'm very excited, brother. What I usually do here, ask the fighters to give me some answers. I usually take off the top of my head. Now, what I want to ask you is, for any young, inspiring guys watching here who are thinking of being coaches or who would love to coach, any words of inspiration or wisdom for them, and just some good words for the guys watching, just to keep them going through hard times or anything, brother. Please hit us up there.
So, one thing, if I have to look at my career thus far, it's not the biggest career, but for the time that I've been involved in boxing, whether it's fighting or whether it's coaching, I look at it the same way. You don't have to be the most talented fighter or coach out there. It comes down to grind at the end of the day, and you just got to be willing to put in the hours and the work, and if you can put in the hours and the work, and regardless of what it is in life, you'll reap the benefits and you'll succeed, So my message out there is, whether you're a fighter or whether you're a coach, keep working hard. You can have your good days, you can have your bad days, you can have your days where you drag your feet and feel like, it's not working out for me. Keep your eye on the end goal and keep pushing for it.
Yeah. Nice, bro. Nice, bro. And man, thank you for that, brother. And for those watching around the world, how do people get hold of you? Where can we check you out if we want to follow you or anything like that, brother? Where can we find you, dog?
So you guys can find me on Instagram. It's Shannon the Hitman, and on Facebook, Shannon Strydom, my surname, and on Twitter, Shannon at Shannon the Hitman as well. So hit me up. I'll give you guys a follow back, and you guys can get all of me like that.
Nice. But shot, my brother, I'll definitely be watching all the time, keeping in touch with you. We haven't spoken. We must keep in touch, bro. And as I say, we're looking to come back to SA to hit a nice fight with Michael Mokoena. So I'm going to be finding one of you. I need a coach.
Are you coming? Where's that, bro?
Hey, it either will happen at the end of this year or early next year, bro.
Sick, brother.
With,
against Mark?
Against
who?
Pinto, Michael Mokoena.
Sick, bro. Nice. Sick.
Yeah,
so you're coming, the homecoming?
A homecoming, bro. I think it's a Southern Giants reunion or something like this. Or a fight early in the next year. With Anton Gilmore.
Sick, bro. Okay. That's dope, yeah. Who is Mike training with?
Yeah. I think with Gilmore, I'm not sure 100%, eh?
Okay, sick. Well, yeah,
but he'll come do his last fight. Yeah, 100%, dog, 100%.
I remember actually, sorry, bro. Like, I remember, when was it, 2019, coming to Mike Mokoena. Like, I remember he fought, we trained Thompson Mokoena at the time. It was like towards the end of Thompson Mokwena's career. And he defended his SA title against Mike Mokoena. And like, the most bizarre thing that's ever happened to me in a corner ever, bro, was that night. Round 4, bell rang, they got stuck into each other and they both put each other down at the same time, bro. I was just like ringside, like, what just happened? Yeah, the first time experiencing that was pretty fun, bro. Pretty funny.
What, they both knocked each other out? They were both knocked out?
both knocked each other down, bro. And they both came up like staggering, like looking at each other. I was just like
Yeah.
ringside. I was like, no way. You should see the shit and
Who
like
gets
the,
who gets the knockdown count for that one?
I think it. I don't know. Actually, I don't actually. No, they counted. So they counted both guys. So they count both guys, and then
Okay.
obviously they both were up before the 8 count. So they both got
Yeah.
a standing 8 count, and then the fight.
Eight
Well, they
counts.
both got it. Yeah, it was a count, and then
Okay.
the fight carried on. Biggest laugh.
Oh, fucking weird. Nice, bro. Well, we wish you many more crazy times as a coach, brother. We wish you nothing but success as a coach, brother. We wish you many championships and world titles. And yeah, I'll definitely be watching you and always supporting you, bro. And once again, thank you for your time as a coach to come sit down with us on Ringside Talk. Here we talk with the punches, bro. And thanks for your time, Shans. And yeah, brother, like I said, we'll be in touch. And yeah, brother, let's link, let's talk, let's do something. And take care of yourself, brother, and God bless you.
Thank you,
Thank you
bro.
once again
I
for your
really
time.
appreciate the
Wish you
time.
nothing
Thank you for
but
your time,
success,
bro.
brother.
See you in the SA.
Yeah.
We're gonna start cooking that meal soon. Michael Quella, it's on, baby.
Yes, brother. Yes, boy.
Sweet,
Shut,
brother.
shut,
Thanks a lot.
brother. Thank you
Appreciate
very
your time, man.